How much money would you pay to own a truly cursed item? And then we take a look at what's in your wallet. Money. Is this just a way to purchase goods? Or does it hold a secret truth? A pathway to oblivion. Today on Dead Rabbit Radio. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dead Rabbit Radio. I'm your host, Jason Carpenter. I'm having a great day. I hope you guys are having a great day too. I hope you guys had an awesome weekend. I do want to do a Thanksgiving special. I'll figure out what time of the day we're going to do it on, but it's something we've done since the inception of the show, and I want to keep that tradition going. So don't make any plans with your family. Buy no airplane tickets. Wait for instructions. Do nothing until I announce when we are having our Thanksgiving special. It'll be fun. Those are always really fun. Speaking of fun, someone who's always a fun guy, coming into Dead Rabbit Command right now is one of our legacy Patreon supporters. Give it up for Diamond. Everyone give a round of applause for Diamond walking into Dead Rabbit Command. And now we lock the doors. Diamond's locked in. He can't get out because he is going to be our captain, our pilot this episode, so he has no choice. You're going to be our captain, our pilot. If you guys can't support the Patreon, that's fine too. It just helps spread the word about the show. Really helps out a lot. And Diamond, I'm going to go ahead and toss you the keys to the Jason Jalopy. We are headed all the way out to Canada. Actually went to Washington the other day, right across the river. Me and Sabine went to this old gas station. They sold porno mags still. I didn't even know these things even existed. Porno magazines. Do you remember those? Insane. And it kind of makes sense. We were thinking about it. That area's a little more rural. So you may not have the best internet access, or you may want to, hide it from your wife or something like that. But yeah, porno magazines, they still make those. That's so bizarre. I would have been less shocked if I came across a human skeleton. At least I know those still exist in some way. We're headed up to Canada. Speaking of human skeletons, we're headed up to Canada because we're going to visit the Skull Store. Skullstore.ca. If you got some money burning a hole in your pocket, you can go to the Skull Store, and they buy and sell fossils, oddities, artifacts, things like that. And I was researching another story, and I came across this. It's just so bizarre. Now, I know there are groups out there like this that sell these items, but this one had some particularly bizarre items. They do have, fossils. They have a fossilized turtle, and that was going for 100,000 Canadian dollars. So, in real money, that's, probably 15 US bucks. But you have that. And then you had a woolly mammoth skull, if you wanted a real woolly mammoth skull. If you can pronounce the word woolly, people are like, what are you saying? You know, the elephants that had fur, the woolly mammoth, they have a skull of those. That's pretty dope. They have this one really cool thing. It is a necromancer mask made out of real human bones. So it's this big ornate mask. It looks like something that someone would wear in a movie. You're just basic clothes, Jason. You know what I mean? It's super well designed, and the face opening is this giant jaw, and it's made out of all of these bones, and they're actually taken from the bones of monks or other people who have died on mountains. And you're looking at it, and you're like, that's probably cursed, right? But maybe not. Maybe all those people died nice deaths at the top of mountains, but it is real cool. It's this necromancer mask. And it's not like they made it. It's a traditional necromancer mask that they were able to get a hold of. They also have this skull called this. The necromancer mask is sold out. So if you're going to the website right now to buy it, but here's something you can buy for 22,000 Canadian dollars. It's the skull of a human, a chief from the Solomon Islands. And the way the skull is decorated, it has extra bones attached to it. It has these ceremonial bone jewelry. And he looks like the crazy frog from those ads. Remember those ads back in the 2000s with the frog with the little penis and the goggles? And he was doing the cell phone dance? That. Jason, I have no idea what you're talking about, and I shut the podcast off 20 minutes ago. Crazy frog. Crazy frog. If you look at this, and you can be yours for $22,000, this skull and the goggles look like Crazy Frog. It's super bizarre. And the woolly mammoth skull I'm looking is only 15,000 Canadian frogs, so you can get this stuff. But all of that stuff could be cursed, might be cursed. You might have a ghost woolly mammoth walking around, stomping on you because you can't pronounce his name. But I came across this item, and out of all of them, this has to be the most cursed. And it seems awful to even own. No one's bought it yet. It's actually on sale. It's 50% off. It used to be 12,500 Canadian dollars. Now it's only going for 6,000. It's called Choked to Death. It's a wet specimen. That means it's tissue that is preserved either in like a jar or it's preserved with preservatives, right? Put a little salt. It's basically, it still looks like the muscle tissue and everything like that. It just has all these preservatives in it. Choked to death. And there's a photo of this. It is the preserved, and you just can't stop staring at it. It's so bizarre. It's the preserved tongue, windpipe, heart, and lungs. So it's this whole thing. Tongue, windpipe, heart, and lungs. All, you know how those go in the human body. Of a 6-month-old child that choked to death on a marble. And the marble is still lodged in the windpipe. And you can clearly see in the photo, you can clearly see a marble stuck at the top of the windpipe. It does state in its description, this item is not for everyone. I'm sure they've gotten a lot of complaints about this. The Necromancer's Mask, the bones from high up a mountain, the Solomon Chief's skull, things like that. They have mummy parts. They have like a mummy hand and a mummy foot. It's a really cool website to look at, but I bet you they're getting... this was the item that was half off. I bet you they're getting a lot of complaints about it. They say it's not for everyone, but it can make a powerful addition to any reference collection. Which I think someone who buys that isn't buying it because they're a windpipe doctor. Maybe. But I would imagine it's either a legit necromancer, you buy the mask, you get the windpipe for free, or it's just some weirdo. But I got to admit, like, it is fascinating to look at. I would be hard pressed to have that in my collection. Absolutely horrible. What an awful relic, right? That thing has to be haunted. That thing has to be cursed. 6-month-old. Talk about not... And I bet you anything, the way they got hold of this was the body was donated to science. But this, you imagine you are just going to be like, I don't know, like some scientists are like, we've cured this disease. Thank you, body. But really, I mean, they're probably just turning your hands into ping pong paddles because they're bored and your head goes to the dentistry school and things like that. And this kid ended up being in a museum. Absolutely bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. A cursed item if I've ever seen one. But Diamond, we got one more destination to go in this episode. I'm going to go ahead and give you the keys to the Carpenter copter. We are leaving behind the Skull Museum. We're headed all the way out to ancient Rome. This is a personal conspiracy theory of mine. It's one I've had for a long time. Let's see, I've thought about it over the years. Let's see if I can put it as eloquently into words as I imagine it is in my head. Money. What is money, right? Money is a way to exchange your labor for goods. I do labor, I get money, I use that money to buy goods. It's basically what it is. It's a way to exchange things. I no longer have to carry 100 pickles to the store to get 2 racks of lamb. We use money. Now, people call it different things, but money seems to be the most universal terminology. When you look at other languages, their words often break down to money. Now, I'm not a linguist. I'm sure there's some Cyrillic Russian word for something else, but I think you guys get where I'm going. Where does the word money come from? This is important because words mean things. Money comes from the Latin word moneta, which means money. Moneta means money. It's also known as a place for printing money, like a mint. Moneta means money, means mint. We go back to ancient Roman times. We're talking about 200 BC, around this time period. And we all know about Juno. Maybe you don't. Juno is the Roman version of the goddess Hera. So they're both goddesses. Hera was wife to Zeus, mother of Hercules or Heracles. When the Romans absorbed the Greek culture and took it over, renamed her Juno. She had the same role, wife of Jupiter, daughter of Saturn. And she was the patron of Rome. She was the goddess of the empire. And so when the empire started printing this money and holding this coin, they began to do it in the temple of Juno. Because she oversaw all the empire. She protected everything. And what powers a government more than its gods and its treasury? So her name became Juno Moneta. And that was where they printed their money. That's where they kept their gold and their silver. They had this vast treasury in this temple in central Rome, in the city. We don't know where it's at this day. We have an idea. It was pretty well labeled on old maps, but we can't figure out where it was this day. Juno Moneta. Juno went by many different last names. She also went by Juno Regina, which meant the queen, but Juno Moneta meant this is where the money is made. But what does Moneta mean? And there are some historians who go, Moneta, and we're talking about, when I say historians, we're talking historians like Cicero, who were around more contemporary than we are today. He's writing this back in the day. He goes, Moneta means to warn. And here is why Juno got the name Juno Moneta. Once there was a giant earthquake that shook Rome. And while the earthquake was going on, a voice emanated from Juno's temple in Rome saying, sacrifice a pregnant cow to me. And so they did. There was another time there was an invasion coming, and Juno, the goddess Juno, she had a flock of sacred geese. And these geese scattered, begin to migrate earlier than they should. That was a warning sign that an invading army was coming. So because of these events, she earned the name Juno Moneta, the goddess who warns. And when they started printing the money in the temple, they started calling it money because it was in the Moneta temple. And I'm looking at my notes here. The temple was built on Capitoline Hill overlooking the Roman Forum. This was in central, you couldn't do the business of the day without seeing this temple. That's how important this was. And this is where the money was minted. So Juno, who warns, the goddess who warns, that's where you're printing the money. Juno Moneta's temple. So Moneta became short for gold, treasury, things like that, which then got shortened to money. That's what historians have been saying for a long time, but modern day historians have discovered there's a problem with that story. The name Moneta was in constant usage before the warnings. Not Juno Moneta, but the goddess Moneta. The goddess Moneta existed before Juno. You had tribes. As Rome was first being formed, you had tribes of people who were worshiping a goddess named Moneta. And when the Romans took everything over, as they did, they took the gods, they took the cultures, they mishmashed it together, and then the original Moneta was lost to history. This original pagan deity that was preached to, we don't know anything about. Her name became an adjective to warn and was applied to their patron god, Juno. The reason why I'm giving you that little history lesson is because I think money is a god. And it is a god that we all pray to every single day. Now, I'm not saying God in a sense that there shall be no other gods before me, the easier for a rich man to crawl through the eye of a needle. I'm not talking about that, like we worship money as an abstract god. I'm saying when we say, I need more money, you're calling for that God into your life. I don't have enough money. If only I had more money. You're crying out. You're psychically crying out to a pagan god that existed before Rome. Think about how slick you would have to be to pull something like that off. If you were a deity and you're watching your followers get swallowed up, and you knew if no one believed in you, you would be powerless, who else could pull something like this off? Even like, if you think about like Lucifer, right? This would be something that he might want to do, corrupting mankind. But even he doesn't have the clout as money. He gives out money. People sell their soul to Lucifer to make money, but he's still secondary to money. Moneta. You could call it cash, you could call it cheddar, you could call it cheese. But what we're really talking about is money. Call it dinero, call it francs, call it Deutschmarks, but what we're really talking about is money. And money is the name of a god, and it is the only, outside of people who are devoutly religious, it is the only god that people talk about every single day. What if Moneta is real? What if Moneta is an ancient deity who is prayed to billions of times a day, and it is the only god who is also worshipped by people who do worship a god? And I think we've met people who were devout who say you need more Jesus in your life. But we say to each other, I don't have enough money. Just need more. And it's something you always need more of. Even the wealthiest of people want more money. My conspiracy theory is that Moneta is real. And instead of being erased from the world, having all of her followers swallowed up by the Roman Empire, and just becoming an adjective, she played the greatest trick on humanity ever. She made it so every man, woman, and child worships her every single day, from the second they can conceive of money to the moment they die. They are worshipped. There's no break in faith. There's no going to college and going, I want to explore other religions. You do that stuff, but you still need money. And the craziest thing about this conspiracy theory is, if it's true, there's nothing you can do about it. Doesn't matter who you are, what generation you were born in, how long you live. You will always, at some point in your life, cry out, I need more money. And the second you do, you have worshipped her. She might be the most powerful deity walking on this earth. We don't know she exists, but we say her name every single day. We pray to her every single day. And if you ask people, what do you think runs the world? They'll always give you the exact same answer. Money. I guess they're right. DeadRabbitRadio@gmail.com is going to be our email address. You can also hit us up at Facebook.com/DeadRabbitRadio. TikTok is @DeadRabbitRadio. Dead Rabbit Radio is the daily paranormal conspiracy and true crime podcast. You don't have to listen to it every day. I'm glad you listened to it today. Have a great one, guys.